Today's recording is going to be a quick one. We're looking at this point here, which is influences of government. So we're going to look at the role that ASIC play and company tax and how that influences businesses, I guess, in their financial management aspects. Now I've updated something here from yesterday. So if you'll have a look, yesterday's lesson plan didn't have lesson 8. Now some of you have 3 lessons this week, some of you have 4. If you've got 3 lessons, what you're going to do is I'm going to combine your revision with your lesson 7 and then we'll do a little bit of that towards the end of the week. Now, when we're looking at the role that the government plays in financial management within a business, we're obviously looking at sort of 3 different aspects. We've got economic policies like monetary policies and interest rates. If interest rates are high, then obviously people aren't going to borrow money and they might not be able to afford to pay that back. Economic policies like fiscal policy. So this is looking at your tax and your government spending. For example, company tax, flat rate on company profits, designed to help our competitiveness, create jobs. So that will sort of encourage businesses to maybe go out and borrow money and expand their business in that sense. And by setting up ASIC to enforce and administer the Corporations Act. Now that should be reduce fraud and unfair practices. Now that could be a question in your multiple choice where it asks you what is the role of ASIC, and that's the Australian Securities and Investment Commission, and we're going to look at that on the next slide. Now you can go on to ASIC's website and read up about it. There's a little bit in your textbook as well, but just let's look at these 4 points. So ASIC regulates and monitors the activities of companies to ensure relevant corporate laws are followed. So they're not being dodgy, they're following the rules, and they're not getting an unfair advantage over other people. ASIC influences business decisions by regulating what companies may do. Again, even playing field. Everyone is playing, on the same level. ASIC is an independent government body. It is set up under the Australian Securities and Investment Commission Act and carries out most of its work under the Corporations Act. So that's the question that you'll probably get. Who administers the Corporations Act or who oversees the Corporations Act, and that'll be ASIC. ASIC protects consumers in the areas of investment and unfair practices in financial markets. So this is where we get back to looking at the stock market and investments, and are they above board? Are the companies doing the right thing? Are the companies disclosing the right amount of, or the correct information that needs to be out there? Now, company tax is obviously one that businesses may struggle with, but obviously the more you make, the more tax you'll pay. Now, the difference between personal tax and company tax is that personal tax is on a progressive scale, so it's on a sliding scale. The more you make, the higher the percentage it'll be. But with companies, that's levied at a flat rate of 30% of your net profits. Now, with those once the company tax is paid on those profits, then money is distributed to your shareholders as dividends. So that's something that you just need to be mindful of. Now, obviously, companies try to steer away from paying as much company tax, but that's where ASIC monitors and the tax department monitors to see what these businesses are doing. You could be audited to see, what are these expenses? Do they match up with sort of what you're making, or are you being dishonest? Now, that's the end of this little section. It's not a very long section, but I also wanted to give you an opportunity today to continue on with your notes and get up to date with that. So by the end of the week, we can go through some HSC revision questions, and then we can have a Zoom set, or it's not a Zoom, a Microsoft Teams session to discuss some of the issues that you have.